More than 500 years later, Wang Lin and Yun Quazi met once again. By then, the difference in their identities and cultivation was immeasurable, and within Yun Quazi's heart surged a torrent of conflicting emotions. As the struggle for the Vermilion Bird's tomb entered its final stage, all survivors who had managed to enter sought the first stellar soul crystal to reclaim their life soul. The fastest was none other than Yun Quazi, who had forcibly entered the Vermilion Bird's tomb through a secret technique accompanied by a puppet controlled by the split soul of ancient god Tuo Sen. These two were the first to step into the chamber that held the stellar soul crystal, and they immediately began a battle of life and death. By the time Wang Lin arrived, the puppet had already been temporarily sealed by Yun Quazi, who made use of the terrain to gain an advantage. It was then that Yun Quazi made the gravest mistake of his life. He deceived Wang Lin into touching the crystal's essence, intending to sacrifice Wang Lin's life in exchange for his own soul, even using his formidable cultivation to threaten Wang Lin into compliance. Fortunately, Wang Lin remained clear-headed. Seizing the moment when Yun Quazi lowered his guard, he unleashed the 10 billion soul flag, releasing Tuo Sen's puppet clone, instantly returning the situation to a standoff between two formidable experts. Afterward, when the Vermilion Bird's tomb collapsed, the stellar soul crystal finally emerged. The cultivators trapped on the upper levels also arrived one after another, and the clashing factions threw everything into chaos. Amidst the turmoil, Wang Lin staked everything, wagering his life to reclaim his soul. In the end, with the help of Mo Ji, he managed to retreat intact, leaving the position of the 15th generation Vermilion Bird son to Chu Wu Tai. After settling minor matters and adjusting his state to its peak, Wang Lin, together with Situ Nan, departed from Vermilion Bird Planet, officially embarking on a new journey of cultivation. This departure would last for more than 500 years. During that long span of time, Wang Lin experienced countless brushes with death, from the slaughter on heaven-defying planet to the battles within the land of monster spirits. And from there to the confrontations across the Allheaven Star Domain, eventually leaving behind a resounding reputation at the Immortal Ascension Conference. The name Demonic Daozi Shumu within the Allheaven Star Domain was enough to make others feel a crushing sense of pressure at its mere mention. Later, borrowing the momentum of the Allheaven Star Domain to declare war on the Alliance Star Domain, Wang Lin finally returned to the homeland he had yearned for over countless years. At that time, the Allheaven Star Domain had just achieved a great victory. 108 Thunder Immortals, each leading their armies under orders from above, began their slow advance. On their march, all cultivator factions across the planets were drawn into the tide of war. Vermilion Bird Planet lay directly in the path of one fearsome army commanded by the infamous and brutal Great Head Child. Fortunately, the Cultivator Alliance had issued a warning beforehand, giving Vermilion Bird Planet enough time to prepare a defensive strategy step by step. Under the leadership of Chu Wu Tai, all peak-level forces gathered together. Although the disparity in strength weighed heavily on their hearts, each cultivator was prepared to sacrifice themselves for their homeland. As for Great Head Child, at first he held no interest in such a remote, half-crippled planet, planning only to casually dispatch 2 cultivators at the late Void Return stage to annihilate all of Vermilion Bird Planet's cultivators. However, upon receiving news and discovering a certain statue, he immediately changed his mind and personally set out for Vermilion Bird Planet. When the aura of Kui Nie Realm, realm of Nirvana Ruin, descended from the outer void, the cultivators on Vermilion Bird Planet felt a primal fear welling up from the depths of their hearts. Even the strongest among them, Yun Quazi, was no exception. None of them had yet stepped into the Yin Void Realm stage, the second great realm of cultivators. To them it was like a towering mountain whose peak was forever beyond sight. No matter what methods they possessed, ultimately they could not withstand even a single thought from such an existence. Just as the shadow of death enveloped all of Vermilion Bird Planet, Wang Lin returned in time. By relying solely on his true identity as a Thunder Immortal, he forced Great Head Child to withdraw together with the vast army of cultivators under his command. Afterward, with thunderous methods, Wang Lin suppressed Great Head Child, compelling him to submit and become a slave beneath his banner. Once this crisis was resolved, he returned to Vermilion Bird Planet. When the top experts of Vermilion Bird Planet saw Wang Lin return, they were overwhelmed with excitement. Yet upon witnessing with their own eyes that a super expert, someone capable of crushing them in an instant, had submitted under Wang Lin's control, that excitement instantly turned into a trembling shock that shook them to their very core. 500 years had passed. The man who once stood only a single step above ordinary mortals was still on a level far beyond their reach. The one who felt the most conflicted was none other than Yun Quazi. Back then, when the two first met, Yun Quazi had been a towering mountain in Wang Lin's heart. Whether within the Vermilion Bird Nation or among the immortal barbarian clan Xianxia clan, he had been a man of high status and authority. Among the cultivators of Vermilion Bird Planet, his cultivation could be ranked within the top 5. At that time, however, Wang Lin had been nothing more than an obscure nobody, quietly groping forward on the path of cultivation with only his own effort. In the blink of an eye, over 500 years had flown by. Though Yun Quazi's cultivation and status had grown compared to Wang Lin, their roles had been completely reversed. Under the praise of Chu Wu Tai, Wang Lin had become the ancestral master of Vermilion Bird Planet, receiving the reverence of nearly every cultivator there. For one born on Vermilion Bird Planet, no one held a higher position than he. In truth, Wang Lin had already reached the Kui Nie Realm, sufficient to contend head-on with powerhouses of the Purification Nirvana realm. To someone like Yun Quazi, who had not even stepped into the Yin Void realm, such power was utterly unimaginable. Now Wang Lin had become the towering mountain in his heart. Thus, when Wang Lin visited the sacred grounds of the celestial clan, Yun Quazi resolutely refused to let him address him as senior. It was respect and fear from the depths of his soul mixed with profound regret. In the world of cultivation, the act of imparting the Tao ranked only below the grace of one's parents. In those days, Yun Quazi had nearly held Wang Lin's hand to teach him the basics of the spirit transformation stage realm. Had he preserved that bond of camaraderie back then, perhaps the entire clan would have gained Wang Lin's aid. He himself might even have advanced into higher realms. But all of it was lost because of one scheming move within the Vermilion Bird's tomb. That Wang Lin neither pursued vengeance for the past nor used it as a pretext to kill him was already an immense act of grace. In such circumstances, how could Yun Quazi dare to hope for more? After finishing his investigation of the Xianxia clan's sacred ground, Wang Lin immediately bid farewell, heading toward heaven-defying planet with the intent to enter the land of monster spirits. But Yun Quazi could never escape the whirlpool of regret. He constantly asked himself if back then he had not committed that betrayal, would Vermilion Bird Planet today have gained another mighty ancestral master like Wang Lin? Each time he remembered, a sigh of deep regret rose within him. Perhaps it was precisely this regret that became his heart demon, preventing him from advancing another half step, no matter how bitterly he cultivated afterward. In the end, when his vitality was exhausted, he fell. According to Chu Wu Tai, who saw him off on his final journey before his death, the old man continually murmured the name Wang Lin. Whether that murmuring was unwillingness or longing no longer mattered.